So, are you ready? Okay. Well, tonight we have some really special hosts. Well, it's not just one host. We actually brought in two hosts this evening. We have Sonya Benkert-Weber, who I'm very excited about. She's from Binkert's Meats in Rosedale, Maryland. And our official Krautmeister, who's been doing this festival with me for many years and has stomped his way into infamy, Doug Wetzel. He's Food Network's Chopped finalist. He also was Gertrude's executive chef for many years. But to do that, I'm going to need to get this official Krautfest party started with our executive sous chef. She's also known in her part-time job as the CEO of Harford County Public Library, our very own Mary Hassler. Come on in here.
Hey, John, it's so good to be here.
Miss
Happy Lederhosen.
That's
whatever.
right. That's
yes.
right. We're gonna, we just do the whole thing.
I have a very German strong background. So does my husband. So this is right up our alley. And of course, from being from Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It is it's got a great German history throughout the Baltimore region and everything. And so we're trying to figure out, we're doing Krautfest, but how do we tie that into our mission here? Well, our mission is for local foods, to promote the local food economy. Mary and I, along with many of you, are at the farmers markets on the weekend. Some can't go year-round, but when they open up, you're there. And we try to do that and help support those markets. But we also support a huge number of local businesses, local artisan food makers. And so that's kind of how, we got to this place and thought, well, who could we highlight, for this particular thing? And on Krautfest, besides having barrels and barrels and barrels of sauerkraut, we have a whole kind of charcuterie with beautiful German sausages and meats, and we get that from Binkert's. So Binkert's is in Rosedale, so let's take a look over at Binkert's. Since the 1960s, Binkert's Meats has been serving the greater Baltimore, Washington metro area with some of the finest locally crafted German and European meats, sausages, and charcuterie. Founded by Egon Binkert nearly 60 years ago, his daughter, Sonya Benkert-Weber, and Lothar Weber continue the tradition of producing fine German meat products with a processing facility and storefront shop in Rosedale, Maryland. Binkert's is a hub for the local German community, and they are proud of their heritage. It's not unusual to hear many of their customers speaking German and visiting while they do their weekly shopping in the store. The recipes for all the dried and cured sausages, lunch meats, and smoked meats are of genuine German origin. For the past 16 years, Binkert's has been the main supply source for all our Gertrude's Krautfest meats, and their sausage platters wow the crowds each and every year. Binkert's is truly a culinary gem in the Chesapeake food hub. So you see what I mean? I love Binkert's. Not only are the sausages and all the different products amazing and these authentic recipes, but when you go to their storefront and you walk in there, the aroma is absolutely amazing. I mean, it takes you to another world. And so I think we should meet the person that really is instrumental in making this all happen, Sonya Benkert-Weber. Sonya, come on in here.
Hi.
Welcome
Nice
to welcome to the kitchen.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. It's every year when we have Krautfest, whenever you're able to come, it makes the whole crowd kind of light up, because you love to see the people that make the products that we're enjoying and hear a little bit about the history of it. And so that's why really, when we were thinking about shows to do for this season, I wanted to get you in here.
Yeah,
so
we missed the last couple of years.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Next year, right?
Next year,
Yep. That's it. We're back on the polka circuit next year.
Yep.
So maybe you can tell our viewers a little bit about the history of Binkerts.
Okay, well, my parents, Aegon and Irmgard Binkert, came over to the United States from the southern Black Forest in 1953 in one of the waves of German immigrants that came over after the war. And 10 years later, they opened up their own business, so 1963. And 3 years later, they were USDA inspected, which was important for us because it was wholesale. We delivered to restaurants, delis, and that meant that we could cross state lines.
Yeah.
So a lot of our business back then, and as it is now, was in D.C. and Northern Virginia.
Okay.
And there were a lot of German chefs there and
Yeah.
hotels and lots of German restaurants. They still have more German restaurants than we do in Baltimore now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but-
unfortunately, yes.
yeah, so we delivered mainly wholesale, and then in 1980, my father bought a lot in Rosedale on Philadelphia Road, and he built his own place.
Yeah.
And so we've been there at that location since 1980.
Oh,
And then we slowly started developing the retail side of the business.
yeah.
So we have a little store, and we also sell German imported groceries, sauerkraut, red cabbage, different mustards, and coffee, all kinds of things.
Yeah. You sometimes get breads in.
We do. We
Yeah.
have bread that we get in from Canada, from a bakery in Toronto.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's good.
All different kinds of breads.
Yeah.
And then we have fresh bread from a bakery in Northern Virginia
Is
on
that
the
where
weekends.
is that where that's from?
The sourdough bread.
Yeah, yeah, that's
all different kinds of
that is
sourdough bread.
Pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, one of the things that I like when I go, and besides seeing you, and the aromas, it's just neat seeing the customers there.
Yeah.
I really like listening to the customers. They know you. They obviously they're regulars.
Yeah.
Many of them are speaking German when they're in there. They'll be talking to each other. So it's kind of a little bit like a cultural center.
Yes, there's lots of Germans that still come. We used to have, in the beginning, exclusively German people.
Oh yeah.
But as the years have gone by, there aren't a whole lot of Germans coming over anymore.
Yeah.
So those customers are gone.
Uh-huh.
And so now it's more of also a neighborhood store.
It's what it seems like.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then also, people come from all over with coolers and things like that.
Yeah, no,
So-
it's awesome. Because there is a rich German history within Baltimore, within Maryland, across the Eastern Shore. There were huge waves, in
Yes.
the 18th century, 19th century. Some of
Earlier.
some of my relatives came over, like in the 18th century,
Yeah.
and settled in Baltimore.
Right.
My grandmother Gertie.
Okay.
She
Right.
comes
Well, the
from there.
Zion Church was founded by Germans,
Yeah.
which is down by City Hall.
Yes.
And they still have service in both German and English,
Yeah.
still every Sunday.
Yeah, well, my mother told me that in the early days, like in the early 1900s, that at least half of the schools, the elementary schools in Baltimore, all the studies were in German.
Right,
There,
yeah.
And there were something like 5 or 6 daily German newspapers.
Exactly, yes.
In the region too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So when people want that taste of Germany, maybe we have some sausages here, but maybe you could tell us about some of the sausages that you all make at Binkert's.
Well, we make the traditional sausages, but we've also included some newer varieties like cheddar, bratwurst, and things like that.
Yeah.
But the Weisswurst that we have here is a very traditional Bavarian veal sausage.
Yeah, this is delicious.
And
it's-
then the smoked one is the Bauernwurst. That's a smoked sausage with mustard seeds.
yeah,
I would say that the difference between how Americans cook sausages and Germans is Germans use, often will just heat it in water,
right.
which is kind of bland, I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Americans like to grill everything.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
so most people, and these are already cooked, so you can just put them right on the grill. So it's just a matter of heating them up.
Okay,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
a little oil in there would be
Yeah,
good. Okay, Mary, you want to put?
Yep.
Somebody want to put a
Okay.
oil on?
Yep.
I started
Oh, is that plenty or
heating this
I
up a
think
little
so.
bit. Maybe a little
Okay.
tiny,
Little tiny more?
drop more.
Bill drop?
There.
So
we go.
traditionally in Bavaria, the Weisswurst is supposed to be eaten before noon.
Really?
Yes.
But why?
I think it probably has something to do with there's milk in there, and it probably made it more perishable, like back in the days before there was refrigeration. So I think that's where that came from.
I see.
And then also you're supposed to drink beer with it. So
Oh, okay.
We like
well,
the beer part. That would be
for
good.
breakfast.
that makes
Sure.
sense.
So
Okay, so we're gonna
Wine
get
in
this.
Paris, beer in Germany.
Exactly. So, all right, so let's get a little heat going on here.
So is that called parboil when the way the Germans do it? My mother-in-law, her parents from Germany, that's how she would cook our sausages.
Yeah.
She would parboil them
Yeah.
and then grill them. Well, fry them in the fry pan, but
Fine in the fry
you know.
pan.
I think that that parboiling is more for fresh sausages,
Okay.
so that you can get them going before you put them on the grill. So you
Yeah.
just put them in hot water
Yeah.
and then put them on the grill. But most of our sausages are already cooked, so
Nice.
Yeah. So that makes it
yeah, it's
a
easy.
little bit easier. Yeah, we had my grandmother lived around 25th and Greenmount here in town, and right down the street there was two doors down, there was a German grocer, Mr. Krumholtz.
Okay.
And he made sausages down there.
Oh,
and
wow.
Gertie would always be going down and getting the sausages.
Yeah.
He had a little barnyard out in the
Oh, my
yard with
gosh.
chickens running
Yeah.
around. You would get very fresh chicken. And it was right in the center of the city, you know.
yeah.
So we don't have quite as many of those kind of you
No.
know, like markets
No, they're
with
all
that.
gone.
So okay, so we would take let's throw a few in there,
Yeah.
and we'll get those
Okay.
started up.
Yep.
Oh, I can hear it.
Yep. They're
I hear the
sizzling.
sizzling.
Yep. All right.
Put those right on in there. And so, what are some of the other products that you all are making there?
We have something that's really popular is a smoked pork chop. So it's
I've had the smoked pork chop.
Yeah,
Gertrude
they're,
serves the smoked
right,
pork chop.
yeah.
We're loving that.
so they're cured and smoked pork chops. So they're basically also already cooked.
Yeah.
So you just can heat them up anyway. You can put them on the grill. You can saute them. You can put them in with sauerkraut and heat them up that way.
Yeah.
So that's very popular. And
I love the easy part of it.
Yes.
You know, busy,
Yeah.
busy working and things like
Right,
that.
when you
but
come
you want
home.
something that tastes delicious, and heating it and cooking is great.
Right, yeah. So that's super popular. And then we also have a lot of different kind of salami things, like a Landjäger, which is kind of like a beef jerky,
Yeah.
sort of. And that's very popular. They travel well.
That's good.
Yeah. So
Well, while
they're-
we're doing that, why don't we grab our stuff to make our cabbage,
okay.
our sauerkraut.
Yep.
I'll hold on to this bottle.
Okay,
for a
you
little
hold
bit.
on to
That's
that,
my
and we get the
job,
rest
yes.
of the things. All right. Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, it's already
Oh.
chopped. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, we're making this easy for you tonight. We'll give it. It's not going to be all that difficult. So obviously, whenever we're doing Krautfest and we're doing all these wonderful sausages, you have to have the sauerkraut to go with it, right?
You do.
So let me pull out some of the things here that we're going to need.
My in-laws in Germany, when I would visit them, the first time I visited them, my mother-in-law gave me a bowl, and she sent me down into the root cellar to get some sauerkraut.
Oh.
Re-
Yeah.
Oh, in the basement. And was it a very strong scent when you opened the door? Do you remember?
Yeah, they had all kinds of things down there.
Because I heard that.
They had apples and all kinds of
Oh,
things
that's
down
nice.
there.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
But yeah, it was a big crock. It was like a pottery,
Yeah.
glazed pottery, big,
Yeah.
like maybe this tall, and it had a wooden lid on it with a rock.
Yes.
And
To
so
weight
you
the
just
kraut.
took
Yeah.
the rock off and just scooped it up. Yeah, it was delicious.
Well,
I have to say that American sauerkraut is a little bit more sour than German sauerkraut.
Really?
I think. Yeah.
yeah. Well, most of it is industrial produced.
Yeah.
When you have that slower, let's turn this down a little bit. When you have that slower cook with it, you know,
Yeah.
it's a fermentation process. It's not quite as strong.
It's probably also healthier because it's not pasteurized. The way if you make it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, we do that. So anyway, we made sauerkraut, and you're going to find more about how to make sauerkraut in the next section here of our show. But shut that off. But we already have some sauerkraut made, and we're going to make a dish that's really popular at Krautfest every year. It's champagne kraut with apples. And
So the apples make it a little bit sweeter,
They
I guess,
do.
right? Is this off?
yeah, I
Yes,
just
it's
this
kinda
off
turned
now.
off, yes.
Okay.
Okay, put that over here. All right, so to do it, it's pretty simple.
Okay.
All right, you could use butter, you could use oil, you could use oil and bacon chopped up into little bits,
That sounds
and then
good.
you kind of, get that all rendered, and you have the bacon fat going in there. So tonight we just did it with some oil, and then we're going to take some. They're sliced. We didn't do a fine chop. This is kind of a hearty dish.
It's a rustic.
Very rustic. I got my rustic spoon to do the rustic thing there. So basically, you're just going to take and saute a little bit of onion, and then I like to use some fresh ginger.
Oh, nice.
This is ginger for those of those. Now the things that we get in a little jar with McCormick's are lovely, but this is fresh ginger, and it really makes a big difference in this particular dish.
Actually, never heard of that before in sauerkraut.
Truly.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's
good.
delicious.
It's
I
so
love
good.
ginger.
And I put a little bit of garlic in there.
Oh, that surprises me, the garlic. I didn't
Yeah,
really
just
do
a
it with
little
garlic.
bit.
Yeah.
Well, around here, the thing that we have to realize, the Chesapeake, this whole thing, it is a melting pot. You had so many influences into all the food.
Yeah.
And so, garlic started going into everything, and then everybody liked it. But we also have the whole idea of, everybody asked me, I do 1 million interviews a year that people say, well, why do they have sauerkraut in Baltimore with Thanksgiving?
Right.
Well,
Yep.
that was another one of those things, an ethnic thing. The Germans
Yeah,
were
the
very
Germans, yeah.
influential in the city, and that everybody took it on. I would go to a Thanksgiving with the Italians, and they'd have raviolis, they'd have lasagna, and sauerkraut. So it made its way into just about everything.
Right, yeah.
And I think a lot of times when that goes to another ethnic group, they use the way they cook, some of the ingredients, and they incorporate it in. And I think that's how regional cuisines evolve, really.
Right.
Yeah. My mother-in-law always made a big pot of sauerkraut for Thanksgiving and Christmas every single year.
Oh yeah, we had sauerkraut with everything. My mother had sauerkraut
Everything.
all the
Pork
time.
chops, yes.
All the time.
Sausages.
She definitely liked it.
Aw.
And so did all the
And
animals.
it's good for you,
All the
actually.
animals
Yes,
out there.
vitamin
'cause
C.
anything
Vitamin
was left
C.
over.
It
Yeah.
kept the
Scurvy.
German sailors
Healthy.
it staved off
It does.
scurvy.
It does.
Scurvy.
Yeah, that's
Well,
what it is.
the thing about kraut, and when we're talking about these kinds of things, sauerkraut basically was something that is preserved. It's something that can keep for a long time.
Right.
And many cultures, I had a friend who's Croatian, and his grandmother would make somewhere between 2,000 to 4,000 pounds of kraut a year for the whole village.
Right.
They had the crocks that you were talking about, but massive, and they
Yeah.
would go into the ground. And that's what they ate. That was their vegetable for the whole winter
Right, it
and
kept
into
them-
the spring.
yeah.
So, some people kind of, scoff at cabbage, but cabbage really has sustained many civilizations for
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yeah.
All right, so we got our apples all sauteed. Then what I did is I took the fresh sauerkraut, so this is fresh sauerkraut, and rinsed it really well in a colander. Because, we don't want it to be really, really sour, this particular dish. So you're just going to take and put that in there, like so. And then give it a nice stir so that basically, all the oil and the butter or the bacon or whatever you have in here kind of coats the cabbage at that point.
Butter
So-
and bacon. You
Butter
can't
and
go
bacon.
wrong.
That's always was a wonderful smell to wake up to. When Gertie was cooking breakfast, I was like, oh my God, I want to get up. All right then, Mary, this
Yes,
is your
sir.
job.
My job.
Okay, we do need some
champagne.
champagne for the champagne cabbage.
Okay.
And Mary's very good at this. She's a deft hand with that champagne. So I have to say about a half a bottle.
Yeah,
Oh,
half a
wow.
bottle, okay.
And because you got to save a little for yourself, don't you? Okay, that
Okay, that's-
looks beautiful.
All right.
Okay, so we have that there.
It's
And
not
then
real
I'm going to
champagne,
take
is
just
it?
a little
Yes,
bit.
it is real
Oh my
champagne.
gosh! Wow.
It's real champagne, folks.
You
Just a
um,
But we're
little
all
bit
over
of
21.
caraway.
you splurged with real champagne?
Absolutely.
Wow.
You know, we go wild. We go wild here for
Yeah,
Chesapeake
obviously.
Farm and Beta Table.
It's not just sparkling wine
A little bit
around here.
A little bit of.
Is that
Yes.
sea salt, or is that something else?
That is kosher salt and
Okay.
pepper. So basically, what you do now is you just bring it all to a boil. You could put it on the top of the stove and let it go for about an hour or so. Or if you want some workspace and you have other things that you're going to cook, just put it in the oven at 350, covered for an hour. And before you know it, you're going to have some absolutely delicious braised champagne and cabbage. So I'm going to pull this over here.
Okay.
And then we would bring this one over here because the miracle of television, we actually have one all ready for us. So I'm going to hand some of
look
these
very
things
similar.
off
Okay.
to our helpers here. Here we go.
Thank you.
Take that there. All right. So here we go. Take that there.
You go.
Okay, here we go. So after about an hour of the sauerkraut percolating, look
That
at
looks
Isn't that
beautiful.
beautiful?
So now I don't see the little the black seeds that a lot of people don't want in their sauerkraut. So
Yeah,
did they
yeah,
kind
some-
of break down?
Fennel.
Well, they break down a little bit,
Okay.
but you can, if you want to put some in, you can put some in, not.
Okay.
And then we just, we can just
Yeah.
take some of the sausage. We'll put this right down here where we can see it. Put these
That's beautiful.
Place them just so.
like
looks
so,
I have
pretty.
to make sure we got good photos of that.
like that. Look
Oh,
at
that's
this.
beautiful.
And then somewhere over there, Mary, in that little souffle cup, we have some
Oh,
kind of,
mustard.
it's like a German
Oh my
mustard
gosh.
there that we put with that. And not so
Looks
bad,
good.
huh?
That looks like a
Looks great.
restaurant dish, by the way.
It does look like it. It looks all fancy schmancy.
saying.
But it really, it's sausages and kraut.
is.
Essentially, if we take it to the lowest common denominator, that's really what
So
it
even
is.
though we missed Krautfest this year, you can do this at home. Even I could make this at home.
You
This
could.
is
I mean,
awesome.
most of these old traditional recipes, they're comfort food. That's what makes people feel good. They have all kinds of memories about their grandparents or their
Right.
parents. And I think it's important for us to continue those traditions. Because I always feel, some people say, when you do Christmas or when you do one of the other things, why don't you change it up? Get food and wine and make everything new. My feeling is I make the same thing that Gertie made every year. Because when I sit down at that table, I sit down with my ancestors.
Yeah.
I sit down with the people that were before me, and it's like they're at the table with us one more time. So that's why this food and the way we prepare it is so important,
Yeah.
to our
tradition.
families and our lives. It
Because
really
they are,
is.
They are with us. I mean, they
They
really
are.
are.
They are. So it's pretty cool. I really, really, really like that. All right, so we're gonna move this thing right up here and take some of these things off.
Okay.
So Sonya's going to go take a rest because we've worked her really hard here, and then we'll be back with us for our grand beer finale that everybody's very excited
Okay.
about.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We better clean up, huh?
Okay.
Mary and I have to do a little housekeeping here and cleaning up here. All right. And then we're going to get ready to do some other things. All right. So let's see where we are here. Okay. I was talking to you about Krautfest, about how important it is to me and how many years that we've done it. I do have a special guest today who I was telling you about, Doug Wetzel, who is a finalist on the Food Network's Chopped. He was the executive chef for many, many years at Gertrude's. He still tends our sauerkraut every year, lovingly
Oh my gosh.
tends the kraut. And you'll hear more about why that's such a chore, an endeavor, an act of love. But we're going to go like this, and we're going to go in the Wayback Machine.
Oh.
All right, we're going to go way back 15 years at Gertrude's, and you're going to see how Doug and I made some sauerkraut. We got over from Happy Farms in Baltimore County. We got some cabbage. You betcha. Here we go, Douglas. Kraut Day. All right, we got to get the cabbage ready. We got our big heads. That's what we're going to be shredding. Douglas, take that. Now, you got your small heads. Now this is, we're going to make stuffed cabbage out of these. Correct, Douglas?
Very much so.
Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Someone put it back. Yeah.
Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Someone call the cop. Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Someone call the cop. Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Someone call the cop. Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Someone call the cop.
How do you make a good
Hey, well, John, that was really exciting. So,
Does he look different or what?
Oh, what happened?
What happened to the hair?
I don't know. All the suits we're wearing at Gertrude just started falling out, turning gray, you know?
Hello.
I think I saw a little red-brown in there, maybe.
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
It does happen.
does.
To that. Douglas, welcome so much.
Oh, it's great
Thank
to
you
be
for
here.
being on our Krautfest show.
It's so great being in the kitchen with you again.
I know.
It's been
I know.
so
It's been a
long.
while.
Been
It's
so
really been a
long.
while. So it's great. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much. So you're teaching right now, are you
Yes,
not?
I am. Yes, I am currently the culinary arts instructor at the Center for Applied Technology North. And that's located in Anne Arundel County. It's where I went to school, even before culinary school in college. This is where I went to high school to learn to bake, and I'm really, really happy to be back in my first kitchen.
Yeah, you're full circle.
circle, full circle.
The man did the full circle,
Full
didn't he?
circle.
Oh my
Hopefully one day
God.
we get some of our students to Gertrude's, possibly. Some young chefs, maybe.
Well, they might.
Right? Possibly.
I would really like that.
Yeah.
I would like that. So, all of you out there in TV land and computer land just saw our Krautfest video that John Carroll, who used to work with us at Gertrude's, did, and it was just so much fun. That was
know.
the coolest thing. But while it was fun and while that was a beautiful song, that's one of my favorite songs, thank you very much, it actually did give you a good idea of how sauerkraut is made.
True.
You know, we have, let me make sure I don't burn myself too badly. You know, you basically are starting off just with big heads of cabbage.
Exactly.
Traditionally, we've worked with quite a number of farmers. Doug and I would go to the farmer's market every week. We worked with Joan Norman from One Straw Farms and a couple of others. And we had to get with them early to talk about, we needed to snag the cabbage.
And multiple farms, because we had a lot, about 300 pounds
Yeah,
easily each
yeah,
year.
easily, three, 400
multiple
pounds.
Multiple farms.
Yeah, so we had to reel that in. And one of the things that you have to think about is for the ideal kraut, you want the cabbage to be growing on the farm and have a frost.
Exactly.
It needs to have the first frost, and then you'll get a really, really, really good sauerkraut.
That's what they say.
So anyway, you saw in the video that we were slicing up the cabbage. You could do that by hand, but when you're going to do 300 or 400 pounds, it's nice to have one of those things
Yes.
that it all just goes.
Yep.
And basically, you know, everybody thinks, well, this comes in a jar. It must be difficult to do and technical. It's really not. It's salt and
Cabbage.
cabbage.
That's it.
That's it. Salt and cabbage. I think we use about 1/4 of a cup for 5 pounds.
Yeah,
of
roughly,
cabbage.
if you think about a pound of cabbage, about 2 teaspoons for each pound of cabbage, really.
Yeah, and so essentially what you would be doing, you put it into a big bowl, you toss it so that it tosses well with the salt, because the salt draws out the moisture.
And yeah, cabbage is about 9% moisture, and it's full of amazing nutrients. You got calcium, who doesn't need more antioxidants. You
Oh.
have fiber, you have protein, you have vitamin K, you have vitamin B6, folate, great for metabolism, and control anxiety.
Exactly.
All these great things are going to come out with that water, and essentially making one of the best natural energy drinks known to man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I started this show with about the lowly cabbage, it's got a lot going
Put some
on.
respect on that cabbage.
It's a miracle food,
It
and
is.
it's low
Miracle
calorie, I
food. Yes.
believe.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and we also have to mention that once it becomes sauerkraut, what's the craze now? What do we all want to have?
Probiotics.
So it's a natural probiotic as well, and it'll keep the world and it'll keep the Chesapeake healthy for years to come.
Exactly. A little sauerkraut every day can make you live a long and happy life.
Okay, so let's fast forward. We did all the things. We put the kraut in a barrel. You saw Doug jumping up in the barrel. That's to press it down
Gotta
so
pack that kraut.
so we get some moisture, and then it goes to Doug, and he has to tend the kraut for about 5 weeks.
Yes.
And to tend the kraut, you have a weight on top of it, you have cloths on top of it, you have all kinds of things, and then what do?
Yep, you have to change the cloth. Basically, you don't want to allow any oxygen to get in there. You want to create a nice anaerobic environment for
Yeah.
all that fermentation to happen. You change the cloths out. You don't want to get any mold developing on there. And really just wait for all that beautiful kraut juice to emerge
Yeah.
in about a few weeks. It's a lovely, lovely process. It is a little smelly every now and then, but for the most part, it's a beautiful thing.
It's
It's
not.
a good smell.
It is.
It's not
Kind
so
of like a puppy
bad.
smell when he's been out playing.
You know, once you
Exactly.
tend to it 1 year, you just get used to it every other year. That's all.
That's all.
That's all.
That's all.
all.
That's all it
That's all.
is. That's all
Right.
it is. That's
That's all.
all it is. So we thought when we were planning this thing out, what are some of the most favorite dishes at Krautfest? And one of those dishes is
Stuffed cabbage.
Stuffed cabbage.
Oh my
and
gosh.
we've done a lot of stuffed cabbage over the years, have we not, Douglas?
Oh, so many rolls. I don't even want to think about the number.
Yeah.
That explains some of the gray hairs.
All those rolls.
All those
so
rolls.
anyway, what we did first, before you came on, we made a quick little sweet and sour tomato sauce, which really just has some garlic, tomatoes, white wine vinegar, and sugar. It's just all crushed up, and you cook it for about 15 minutes, and this gives you your sweet and sour because you got a little sugar, you got a little
Nice.
vinegar, you got the tomatoes in
Bounce
it.
out all those things.
Yes.
All
And
right.
then, let's make sure we don't break anything here.
Perfect, yeah.
Right here we have, now, some of the recipes call for all ground meat, some are ground beef and pork. We did ground beef and turkey.
Yes.
Just,
A pair of gloves real quick.
I will give you some gloves here.
Thank you very much.
And, but you can do any kind of combination you want. You can do ground beef, you could do veal, whatever you kind of
I
feel
think
like.
most of the
doing.
original recipes we saw was always definitely ground beef and ground pork were definitely the more popular ones we saw.
Yes, yes.
But with those ones, you kind of tend to run a little bit with the pork. A lot of that fat's in there.
Yeah.
When making these cabbage rolls, having a leaner meats in there is going to make it a lot easier to roll up all these things. When you're doing hundreds of them at a
Yeah,
time.
when you're doing hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yeah.
So you might notice that we didn't cook the meat. We're starting this all raw. We're not sauteing onions. We're just putting big hunks of onions in there.
It's very similar to making like Italian meatballs and things like that.
Yeah.
Not cooking anything.
It is. It's like you're making a big meatball, essentially, and you have some garlic in there.
It's a cabbage stuffed meatball, really.
Yeah.
What a beautiful,
What a-
beautiful thing.
what a
Think
beautiful
about it. Why not?
And then a little
Tomato paste.
tomato paste right in there. And then I think I have do we have a little bit of wine here?
A little bit of wine?
So,
Yeah.
Oh, right there. Is that the wine?
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
right in front. Is that the wine or is it the Worcestershire sauce?
Oh,
That was
it's wine.
That's
Oh, yeah, it
wine.
is, right.
There we go. We got a little bit of red wine in there.
Our helper
all
said this wine.
right.
Our helper right
Our
there.
helper said this wine.
Smells like wine.
Okay, and then that's pretty much it. Will you hand me the salt and pepper?
Yes.
And then we'll just put a little bit of S&P in there. And be a little generous with that. And then
All right.
I'm going to get this Pyrex dish here. Mary, could you give me that spray, that cooking spray
Sure
that's right
can.
there?
There you go.
So you don't get too much sticky stuff with this, but I just like to put a little bit of spray or a little bit of oil into the pan so that your cabbage doesn't stick there. All right, also while you're doing this, I'm going to put an egg in here. 1 egg.
And does that hold it all together?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it also lightens it up a little bit, which is a nice thing,
Okay.
you know. A lot of times you'll find people put eggs in their meatloaf.
Still has souffle
Yeah,
feeling to it.
yeah.
Okay. So Doug, how did you get interested in doing this and cooking and doing this?
Really, you know, it kind of started at a young age. My grandfather was a baker in the Navy, and just kind of growing up, I just got really interested. Like when I was hungry and I wanted certain things, I just kind of started learning and teaching myself how to make them, and that's just kind of how it grew from there. And actually, up until Gertrude's, I'd done very little culinary. I was mainly focused on baking and pastry. Then I met Mr. Shields here and changed that all right up.
That's right. We broadened those horizons,
Yeah.
didn't we? So I'm going to take about half of that sweet and sour tomato sauce.
And that was rice you put in earlier.
Yeah, we just
Okay.
put some rice in there. It's cooked rice. Don't try it
Oh.
with raw. It's
Okay.
cooked rice.
Cooked rice.
You'll have a very textured cabbage
Yeah,
roll.
you'll be chewing. You have to
Yeah.
watch your dentures.
Yeah.
It could be rough.
You will not want to poke
You
after that.
won't like that. No, you won't be able to polka.
All right.
That'd be a different type of polka.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different. She lost her teeth polka.
So you cut out the main little stem in that.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
took out the tough stem
Okay.
in the cabbage, and then I'm going to just take a little tiny bit of the sauce and put that down on the bottom, and then we'll start taking and making some cabbage
Right.
rolls. Here, I'll push that over there, and if you want to put some in, you're putting about 2-3 tablespoons in it,
Yeah.
depending on the size of the cabbage leaf. Like
been a
obviously
minute.
when you're on the outside of the head of cabbage, the leaves are going to be much
It's been a couple
larger.
of years. I think I still got it.
I think you got it, Douglas.
All right.
All right.
Look at that. Still got it.
He got it. The man got it.
All right.
All right,
let's
here.
See. Let's see how your skills are.
There you go.
Oh, this one's all you. Let's see. What
Oh
you
man,
can
oh God, good. You're the one's got the gloves.
do. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
It's
So
just-
now imagine this, but then times this by several hundred.
Yeah.
Of just this variety, then we do a vegetarian variety as well.
Yes, we do.
And so just, you know, there's about a sizable afternoon shift dedicated to everyone stopping everything and rolling cabbage rolls.
And that's what we do.
And that's what we do. It's another one of our Krautfest traditions, really. Many of our dishes are different traditions. All right. There we go. Tuck the sides in there.
All right.
And it's really important you want to make that seam on the bottom there so none of that filling spills out.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of moisture in there.
So anyway, so you just keep doing that, and you visit with friends, and you have people in the kitchen with you. That's why it's a family affair.
You catch up over life, over
Exactly.
cabbage rolls, you know?
And then we're just going to take and put some more of the sweet and sour sauce on top. And then I have some cabbage leaves that are not blanched. So I'm going to put that right on top of it. So when I bake it, that kind of keeps it from drying out or
Is there
browning too
anything
much.
cabbage can't do? I mean, really.
I don't know. I don't
It
know.
is a miracle.
It really is.
Okay, so here we go.
Let's put this in the magic oven.
We're going into the magic oven.
And,
Uh-huh.
ooh, and here we go.
And here we go. There we go.
There we go.
So basically, what we have, we're going to take out the cabbage, and the cabbage actually does keep this very, very moist. And let me just grab a little plate here real quick,
That's beautiful.
and we will.
Nice roasted cabbage too. Beautiful, beautiful flavor.
Yes, look at these. Oh my gosh, they're gorgeous. So really, you just take these and
Couldn't even wait for the spatulas. Had to dig in there.
yeah, you just dig
This is how
in.
much he
Yeah,
loves
yeah.
cabbage. This is how it's.
He doesn't even care.
He's very excited about this. Oh,
This is
that's
what happens
beautiful.
when we miss Krautfest for 2 years. You know, we just get all these
okay.
things just pent up in us.
He loses his mind.
We will be
He
back
just
someday.
loses his mind
He needs a solid day and a half for just polka.
just for the polka.
Just for the polka.
So anyway, then we have some stuffed cabbage
Beautiful.
rolls. And as Doug said, there's many different ways. Like I said, you can use any kind of meat that you want. You can make vegetarian ones. Could be all rice. We often use kasha in it, which is a grain, a whole grain. Gives a very meaty flavor. So you have so many different, ways that you can go with that. All right, now we're gonna let our little cabbage things fly away. send all this away as we get ready for the reason that you all came on tonight to watch. Because I know why you're here. You don't care about the sauerkraut, some of you. You really are interested in, what do they all come for? Why do they come to the Krautfest, Douglas?
It's always for dessert for the chocolate sauerkraut cake.
Chocolate sauerkraut cake, you know. And so when we started doing that, first people said, oh my God, that's going to be so gross. And they come back and they absolutely love
It
it.
has to be there.
And Douglas is a pastry chef, so it makes sense that he would be the guy to make all this happen.
Okay.
All right, here we
Alright.
go. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Now,
So
to be
exciting.
fair, in our first, when Krautfest was just kind of starting out, we were turning to an event that it is now.
Uh-huh.
We basically just picked any dessert. We're like, let's just put sauerkraut in there. And there were some hits. There was quite a few misses. I think that first year we had a sauerkraut flan that was.
Sauerkraut.
Now, I believe
flan.
this was supposed to be in a big bowl
Yes.
Okay.
This guy right here. Here we go.
All right.
like that. Okay, good. Okay, so now,
Let's get our.
Mary, I might have you doing something that you might not have thought you're going to be doing right now.
Okay.
But,
I'm ready.
you know,
But I do have a
everybody
pastry chef's
everybody
hand.
has their KitchenAid, right? This is my KitchenAid.
I was, yes, for many years.
And it's so much easier to
John, I
have.
love you. Your mixer looks as old as mine.
This is vintage.
They never break.
I might get out our whisk and show you that, but we do have some vintage equipment here. So, Mayor,
Wow.
what you're going to do is you're going to help Douglas cream the sugar and the butter.
The most important part of any dessert, butter and sugar.
Yes,
And
sir.
creaming them together. If this thing starts smoking, sets off an alarm.
I love the baby. I can't believe I'm standing here with the pastry chef.
Let me run in here.
This is cool.
I lost it.
There we go. Lots of
There
sugar.
you go. Lots of sugar.
Lots
sugar.
of
So get that
sugar.
butter mix in there. All right, so we're out to a great start. Tons of
All
sugar
right,
and
great
butter.
start. Great start.
Just gonna mix that around just a little bit more.
Okay.
All right. See, sorry, a little extra here. All right.
Do we have a knife or something so I can get the butter off the little fingers?
Certainly.
Okay. Oh, it's back.
Why don't we use one of these?
That'll work, yeah.
I remember when I was younger, I didn't stop it when a spatula. I remember denting my mom's pizza
Yes.
sets.
Oh,
Or
no.
when it flies all over the kitchen.
It was okay. I was trying to
no.
make
Done
cookies
that.
for the family. I think it was a wooden spoon, actually. I think I destroyed a wooden spoon. It was one of my first things. Like, oh yes, that happens. You can break
But
things.
you do break things, and
That's how you learn.
that's how you
That's
learn.
how you learn.
But
That-
you know, I turn to my old mixer, my hand mixer, all the time.
Yeah.
I have one of the fancy ones, but
They weigh a lot. They, you
Yeah.
keep them down below. It's,
Yep.
it's tough.
you whip it out.
Yeah, they had the best of hand mixers and wire cutter this last week in the New York Times.
Serious.
Series, so look it up.
Okay.
Wire cutter, New
Right.
York Times.
Should I beat it a little bit more?
Oh yeah,
Just
keep
a little bit
going.
more. We'll start slowly adding some of the eggs and the rest of our vanilla
Yeah,
extract
and
here.
that'll help it all come together, won't it,
Yes,
Douglas?
There we go.
Oh, look at that.
I'm doing a little bit of stages help you out there. There we go.
Now, do you normally mix the vanilla with the egg, or do you do it separately?
At this stage, yes, because this is
Okay.
going to be our emulsification stage. We have another layer of, we add a little bit of water in the end with all the
Okay.
dry stuff. But right now we're just going to focus on our eggs and our vanilla.
And he said multiplication. See, we do emphasize STEM on the show.
We do.
I have to stick-
The emulsification stage, very important in mixing. We're just getting to our creaming stage, and then we're going to have our dry stage.
Okay.
It's like teaching a class of cooking.
Oh, I can't wait for this. This is fun. Okay.
All right.
So
So
we're-
our flour, we got some cocoa powder here, our leavening agents and salt.
And it's good cocoa powder, but you can use any brand you like.
I believe we used cocoa berry at Gertrude.
Yes.
It's a British brand actually.
Okay.
What's a European?
European.
European. All right.
Okay.
So now I would probably put it back on like a speed, the lowest you can do.
Yeah, we're gonna.
That's actually
I do everything with my hands. You see.
sifting the flour.
I see Aunt Gertie here when you do that, John. I love
This
it.
is this is definitely.
This is Gertie.
So we're gonna add half the dry mix,
At a time.
all the water, then the remaining dry mix, and then
You alternate.
we're gonna alternate it. This way, you're not gonna be able to hopefully develop too much gluten for this cake. Let's still be like nice and
It's
crumbly.
like a pudding now. I'm like,
that-
oh, it looks like a pudding.
Yeah, because when you actually, they always tell you don't overbeat your cake batter.
Yep.
And the reason for that is there's gluten in that. And gluten becomes elastic. And have you ever had a tough cake? Well, that's
yes.
because they beat it.
So
too
that
much.
low speed. There we go.
I love to bake.
Right. There we go. Now, the really good part about this cake is the sauerkraut.
I just need
You know,
to
we rinse it off,
empty
we
one,
get
please.
a lot of the taste out of there, but it adds a really nice extra layer of moisture. It makes a really, really nice, spongy, bouncy cake. Not too decadent with all the chocolate in there, but really, really nice with that sauerkraut in there. All right. Let's go ahead and add this last stage real quick. Turn that on. All right. And now slowly we'll get that in there. All right.
take that.
All right.
The half one.
How's the hand mixer working out now?
Not so bad, huh?
I think it's doing pretty good.
It is doing very well, but I'm babying it, John. But I do is my vintage ones too from when we got married, which was a really long time ago.
All right, we'll get that last little bit dry.
Okay.
And you're
Then you
turn-
can shut that
shut
off.
now.
Pull, just. This is where you lick the beater. I know we're not supposed
I was
to.
gonna say it has raw
I know we're not
eggs.
supposed to because we have
Kids,
raw
don't do
egg
what
in
Mr.
there.
John
Don't
just
do what
said.
I do.
Salmonella
Please,
is very real.
please do not do what I do.
All right.
But when we were young, you know what they did to us.
know they
It was
did.
just.
And then we're just going to take,
Yeah, stir that around.
scrape in our sides real quick. Make sure you get all that dry ingredients in there. Don't want any pockets of flour. And
So the sauerkraut, we did the same thing with this kraut as the braised champagne cabbage. We rinsed it very well with
Okay.
cold water and drained it out. And so the sauerkraut kind of gives a tang to the batter. It's sort of like if you would be putting yogurt in, but when you chop that kraut, it gives it a really nice consistency. It's almost like you have some coconut, mouthfeel of that, but you get a little creaminess in that too.
and you wouldn't even know there's sauerkraut in here if we didn't tell you made it.
That's right.
If you
but-
did a chocolate coconut cake, you believe it's just the same way.
So these are flex molds. Doug lives by these. He
Yes.
loves
You
these.
can find these all online in stores now. They're silicone based. They have BPA-free ones. It's basically a no-mess baking sheet. They're the best things in the world.
Yes, it's an amazing invention because you don't have to grease it. You just put the batter right in there, right?
And and you have to cool down. They pop right out. No more being afraid of messing up that cake after it's baked and like ruining the sides.
Yeah, that's
I love the size of this. I can see my sister who's probably watching right now saying,
Uh-huh.
"Oh my God, Mary, you have to buy that size for our holiday parties." They would all get their.
They
own
would
little
love it.
cake. They
Exactly.
would. We are dessert fans.
and there's all kinds of sizes. I mean,
they're
like
various, yeah.
little mini ones, and you can get all kinds of sizes and do great different.
That just looks.
Doesn't that
amazing.
good?
Yeah.
It does look good. So okay, so we're gonna do that there, and now.
And now,
Do the magic of
Of the oven.
television one more time.
These would be going into your oven at 350 for 20, 25
5 minutes. And then what do we have?
and then
You pull out of the oven. There we go.
There we go. Voila.
Look at that.
Lolo.
The
Lolo.
magic of television.
All right, let me get the
and I bet
plate.
we have a
and
taster
then-
tonight too. No.
Oh, here.
And then Douglas, being pastry chef extraordinaire, is going to do a little bit
Fancy.
fancy
Oh,
schmancy
This is I would
decorating.
love to know how to do this, Douglas.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Again, a little rusty. We're going to see how this goes. It's been a while since I've had to pipe anything.
Do you want to tell a little bit about the buttercream here? It's like not a traditional buttercream, but it's got some good stuff with it.
So, Really, this is kind of a, if you ever, or you buy the Domino's sugar box, there's this frosting on the side there for cocoa buttercream. Almost the same recipe, but we use a little bit of heavy whipping cream to lighten it up a little bit more, and also a little more butterfat, never hurt anybody. You're already having dessert. We saw how much sugar went into this thing in butter. It's okay to add a little bit of heavy whipping cream to your frosting, you know, and just, you really just want to make a nice layer of frosting. Just pipe it all around there. You just want to make sure you cover all the areas of that cake, because there's nothing wrong with frosting.
Are these bags special bags, or can you use like a Ziploc bag you have in your cup?
Oh yeah, you can use a Ziploc bag and just like cut a nice little hole in the corner there.
And Douglas, could we do like one like this, where we cut it in half,
You make yourself like almost like a sauerkraut cake whoopie pie.
and then you do a little bit
Oh,
there?
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Oh.
wow, look at that.
Oh, I'm scared of
you could have used a
you.
little bit more on that one.
Well,
We have
he's
tops.
gonna put a little on the top too.
Yeah, finish
Don't
that guy
you
off.
worry.
Oh yeah.
He's not
Oh,
skipping.
they look amazing.
There we go.
Awesome.
Look at that. We took it from the fancy thing with the swirl thing.
I like
and
the
then-
sandwich idea
And then
personally.
we make a little sandwich. This is definitely a way to kind of finish up a Krautfest.
For sure.
Thing, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely. You don't even need the Krautfest to
No.
finish this up.
No.
Yeah, and the great thing about this, especially with the sauerkraut, it really makes the cake moist.
It really
And-
does.
And it lasts for quite some time. I mean, this will last 3 or 4 days, and when you cut into it, it's just as good. In fact, I've made some before, and I made too many, and wrapped it up really nicely with plastic wrap, put it in the freezer, and you take it out like a day, you know, defrost it in the refrigerator. It's like you just made them. So it's, you know, not such a bad thing at all.
No.
No.
All right, good. Let's clean up because we have to continue on our little thing here. So when we get to the Q&A time, you'll have plenty of time to ask questions about all the cakes and the buttercreams and all these lovely things that we made here.
If there's anything you learn from tonight, eat more cabbage.
Eat more cabbage.
Eat more
That's one thing-
cabbage.
That's one thing that you've learned from us here for Krautfest tonight. So, okay, next.
Next.
One of the things that is an important component of Krautfest every year is beer, right? And speaking of beer, Sonya, come on back in here. We're gonna get me some glasses out of here. All right, everybody, come on back in. Douglas and Sonya and everybody. Did we lose Doug? Did he leave us?
Nope.
Oh, here he goes. Here we go. So one of the beers and the breweries that work with are Union Craft Brewery. They're right here in Baltimore, and they're doing some amazing, amazing work. There are craft breweries all over the state right now that are doing some pretty fantastic things. Do you know any of the other ones that you've used?
I mean, there's Flying Dog out in Frederick, the big one.
Yeah.
I think it's been a while. There's so many now.
Yeah.
We have Hopkins Brewery.
Hopkins
Independent
Brewery is
We
great.
have-
Oh,
yeah, we
Oh,
have.
there's Full Tilt Brewing. I remember them.
Yep.
Yeah. So they suggested this True Bohemian Lager, which
a
is
lager. There we go.
lager goes very nice with sausages.
Skip that.
and-
We used to make that with our fish and chips. It's a great fish and chip beer too.
So it's kind of got a light body on that, and then their duck pin.
Of course.
All of
duck
us
pin.
duck pins for dollars.
Who did duck pin bowling when they were growing up here?
Me.
Everybody.
Yes.
Every year for
duck pin.
Gertrude's holiday party, duck pin bowling.
That's where we go. We go duck pin bowling every year for our holiday party. So there we go. So that's really, with the Kraut cake with big, buffets full of sausages and what else? You make
we do spätzle.
spätzle. He makes
fried bologna sliders.
fried, and Binkert makes a bologna that is like
Oh my
unbelievable.
gosh.
We just did one this weekend. We did a fried bologna Benedict.
Is that what you do with our bologna?
Yeah, we made it,
Oh,
and,
it was
we
great.
we fold over, pile it up, put the poached egg on it, and do a grain mustard hollandaise. And I used a pumpernickel roll as the vehicle for the bottom of it. So there's so much you can do, with these things. The idea is to have fun, to enjoy it. And that's what Krautfest has always been about. It's been about having a lot of fun, hanging out, having a tradition, doing the same things over and over again. And it's about the great mystery of life. Let's see. All right. Happy Krautfest, ladies.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
How can we dance with a beer in our hand?
Who's that?
We got it.
Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka from the butcher shop?
I think we should
Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Someone bring the cops. Woo! Happy Krautfest, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! It was the kishka. Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? The cops. Woo!
Fancy. It keeps on going.
It does. It's the LP version.
It's longer than that.
Woo! All right!
You're gonna earn that
Come on.
sauerkraut cake.
Somebody told the kishka. Somebody told the kishka. The kishka. Put your shop. Woo! Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Woo!
Why do I feel like Saturday Night Live? Where we
The
get
long version, really.
very long.
Whoa! Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? Who stole the kishka? All right, ladies and gentlemen, happy Krautfest! Oh my God! So we just want to say, stay tuned for next month's
Next month,
Chesapeake Farm and Baby Table.
all about love.
It's going to be a whole show of love.
Love.
And we have Joyce J. Scott with
Yes.
us, one of the foremost artists of America. And she is so much fun. Great cook, great stories. So make sure you don't miss that.
Yes.
And then the next month,
In March, in order to celebrate Women's Month, we've always done an annual summit. This year we have the amazing, internationally acclaimed Librarian of Congress, Carla
hey,
Hayden with us.
right here in our
here
kitchen.
in our
Wow.
kitchen.
Yes,
So
Yes.
that's a really big deal. So
yeah.
not
So
too
stay
long.
tuned. There's all kinds of things coming up this season right here at Chesapeake Farm and Baby
And I
Table.
think we have a few questions.
Mary, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Douglas, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now it's time for questions and answers. We're ready. Come on.
I'll read the question really slow so you can all get your breath back.
Okay, we're getting our,
All right.
getting our polka breath back.
Question from Krista. What kind of apples did you use in the sauerkraut? What did you use, John?
I used Granny Smith and Pink Ladies.
Okay.
Yeah, and we got those from Black Rock Orchard.
They're wonderful.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
Yep.
It's right in the market, right down the street.
The
Yep.
32nd Street Waverly Market every Saturday.
And then we had somebody ask that caraway question. Did we add it to the apples, to the sauerkraut? We did, didn't we?
We did.
We did. We did, Bridget. That's a good question.
But some people, some people hate raisins in their bread pudding. Some people hate caraway in their sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut.
So know your audience.
Okay. Question from Suzanne. Any suggestions when she makes her own kraut? It sometimes won't get soft and kraut-like.
Come on, Douglas. We got to get
That's what
Douglas
you're-
over
that's a
here.
Douglas question.
Sometimes it gets soft. So that's during the fermentation process, I'm assuming.
Yep, that could be not enough weight packed down that krauts. It could also be maybe not enough salt in there to break down all that oil or all the get all that moisture out. Also, you gotta make sure you distribute that salt evenly so you don't have pockets that are like more saturated than others.
And and every year is different. It's like when you have a wine, it's always different. It has a lot to do with the temperature while it's kind of fermenting that time of the year, the humidity. So you can't always 100%, you're not going to have the exact same kraut every single time.
If it's in too cold of a place, you won't have any moisture development at all. You need
Yeah.
a little bit of kind of varying temperatures in there. Like
Yeah.
a warm day, then a couple cold days like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, I have another question.
Sure.
Can you freeze sauerkraut?
Yes, you
Yay!
can. And actually, it is better if you get a vacuum sealer, like vacuum pack it, or just put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it. It's better than canning because you're not going to be killing off any of those probiotics that you've spent so much time making. And freezing actually is a preferred way to store it. Freeze
Yeah,
it stores up to a year.
And you just did it with the kids at the school, didn't you?
Exactly, yeah. So we had a batch of sauerkraut for this year's Krautfest, which unfortunately did not happen. So as I am the Kraut master, I tend to it. And my students this year all got to join in Krautfest production. And we vacuum packed up all this kraut. It's safe in a freezer, ready for next year.
So there you go.
So we
Yeah.
have one more round of questions.
Okay.
This is a speed round.
Yes?
You have a second. When I point to you, tell me your favorite sausage and your favorite beverage to go with that sausage. You go first.
I would say bratwurst
And?
definitely a pilsner.
Okay.
Bound versus a lager for sure.
I can't
Vice
say
versa, because I was going to say Baltimore, but now I'm going to say vice versa.
And
And a pale ale.
a pale ale.
Yes.
All right. That is it for our questions.
That's all we have for
That is
questions?
all we have questions. So I guess we'll see everybody at our Love Fest coming up in February.
Love Fest in February.
All right.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to everybody at Harford County Public Library who helped put this whole thing together. Thanks so much to our Common Table production company and to Steve Villeneuve and company for making this thing happen. And we have the best time bringing you in to our kitchen. And we thank you so much for letting us come into your homes. Okay, until the next time, take good care.
Thank you.
Eat more cabbage.